Thank you, everybody. Me again. I am standing between you and Mike Johnson, a speaker who I believe will go down in history as one of the most skilled, strong intellect, all sorts of things, but most importantly, faithful. So I stand in a position that no one would want, but I do have a couple of things that I'd like to say to you before the night closes. But let's start with you. I look around these tables of friends and supporters and hosts, new and old, pro-life warriors in the House and the Senate, our board, Lauren Handy today, who received an award from SBA for her valor in saving the children born mutilated in DC. The courage, the talented SBA Charlotte Lozier, her plan teams, our field team, pregnancy center leaders, heads of pro-life organizations. I'm looking at you all, even though I can't see very well in the light. And I have an answer to a question that I've been asked a lot lately, especially in the last year. And the question is, are you worried? And the answer, when I look at you and I will look at history and what we've done, is absolutely not. I am not worried, because we are ready to advance. We are ready to advance with confidence and knowledge of the past, a knowledge of where we're headed, and with confidence in God. I am not worried. The last time we gathered here, not here, but when we gathered together as a group, as a family here, we celebrated the overturn of Roe v. Wade. The fact that finally, after decades of fighting, we finally received permission to act, an open door to protect the lives of unborn children not yet born, who are just waiting to breathe the air that we breathe. Now that that door is wide open, we still stand at an incredibly important, propitious moment in time. But we have experience under our belts, just a little bit, about exactly how we'll save these lives, and we will serve women in an authentic fashion. It's been a tumultuous time, and not a straight line to victory. I think everyone here knows that, for the little ones and their moms and those around them that suffer their loss. While 24 states have acted to protect life, there are more abortions annually now than before the Dobbs decision. That's a bummer. That's because the abortion lobby, Planned Parenthood, and their elected allies move fast to traffic pills into pro-life states at any cost, the cost of babies' lives and the cost of their mother's health. They set up clinics and prowl along pro-life state lines to lure women to the one deadly final solution, and then send them back home with the same problems they had before and a dead baby. And with incredible amounts of cash and political will, they won early ballot initiatives to enshrine abortion in some state constitutions. We should be clear-eyed about our opportunity, cheered about our successes, acknowledge what we're up against, and set our target and advance forward. Because of you and the power of the Holy Spirit and what you represent even beyond this room, I'm not worried. I'm incredibly motivated, and I think you should be too. We won't waste any time milling around in worry. I am, however, going to remember and remind you how we got here in the first place, and it's basically going back to the fundamentals. We've always known who we are and what we're fighting against: the death of children and the failure to enact equal protection of those children under the law. All along the way, we've assessed how we save the most lives in the shortest period of time with the resources that we have in hand. And we've advanced with the knowledge that nothing is impossible for God. We serve those women who carry them, reaching the root causes of their burdens. Nothing has changed fundamentally about the children and their plight. We still proclaim that the vulnerable child is not innately an obstacle or a problem. The problems swirl around them. We know that they and their mothers are formed from all eternity, known and created by their Heavenly Father, and infused with His image. We're in awe with what we see, the grandeur of their making over just a handful of months. The heart, the fingers, the fingerprints, the eyebrows. We are riveted by these children, and that's what keeps us going, especially when we see such precious formations mutilated, burned by chemicals, discarded as if they're medical waste. This is the human rights cause of our time because every single little boy and girl, whether they live in Santa Barbara or Little Rock or Seattle or Mobile, has equal dignity. Each one of these children, just like us, deserves equal protection under the law. President Lincoln was right when he said a nation divided on such a fundamental premise could not long endure, and the same is true of us. That is motivating. With his example, we must run toward the problems we see, that unequal protection. Life for some, death for others, depending on your zip code, is wrong. Equal protection has nothing to do with geography. Where one lives should never be predictive of whether one lives. That's the unrealized promise of our founding documents. Equal protection of the little ones in half of our states has not been achieved, and we only have permission to achieve it. We've achieved a lot. The permission, the progress, and now we see the pushback. So now is the time for insistence and excitement about what the future can be. The political tools, the tools of democracy that we use, are better developed by your SBA team than they ever have been. The youth and growing numbers of our pro-life army is invigorating. President Trump and Vice President Vance beat back the disaster that would have come with a Harris regime and have moved fast to enact some important pro-life protections. There is opportunity and new information regarding the deadly abortion pill out there, and we can use that to restrict that from going into states, and we must do this now. Elected officials like we've seen tonight are ready to inspire and with a renewed vision and lead. Those freshmen are so encouraging, and they look to us to galvanize the voters that they lead. What got us here is passion for a cause we can't say no to. It's the nature of who we are as a movement. We've never been a typical DC lobby group representing any interests from anywhere from snack foods to motion pictures to drug sales. This human rights cause is sacrificial. You don't do this for any personal or tangible gain. Her Plan and Charlotte Lozier team and our field teams are true believers first, and then ultimate professionals second. You who donate financial resources have only one return on investment, and that's the joy and satisfaction that comes from saving lives and truly serving women. That has not changed. But of course, there's exponentially more joy that you're going to experience eternally, and for that, I thank you. We're ready to relaunch, and we have God's grace still on our side. We've achieved what many thought was impossible before, and here we are again with that same grace, pursuing what many think is impossible again. So what do we face right now? Well, first, what group has seized this moment to fight against the best for women and their health and against children and their futures? Planned Parenthood. We must defund it and its copycats in big abortion now. They're billing us $2 million a day to destroy our children, 40% of all abortions in this country. They spent $70 million to try to defeat our pro-life heroes unsuccessfully in the last election. And who is funding this? All of us. All of us. Women should have comprehensive and accessible health care. Providers, not the biggest abortion business in the nation, whose financial lifeblood is abortion. Far more numerous and comprehensive community health centers are easily accessible. Follow those women. There is no need to cut Medicaid. What we must cut is the horrible providers like abortion and other big abortion providers in this nation. The time has come to end that waste of humanity and end that waste of our taxpayer dollars. When a pregnant woman walks into a Planned Parenthood clinic, 97% of the time she's sold an abortion. And over 60% of women say that if they had the support that they needed, they would not have had an abortion. What she receives at Planned Parenthood is disrespect, a tragic underestimation of her inner resources, no solutions to the problems that drove her to that clinic door, a dead baby, and have a good life pat on the back before she walks out that door. That's what they get. No empowerment, no parenting or adoption plan, no help with addiction or homelessness or domestic abuse, just death. Even the New York Times has reported this extensively, and I encourage you to just Google that and find out what they are saying. For the first time, right after Cecile Richards, their former president's death, they're communicating forcefully and truthfully, finally, even at the failing New York Times, about what's going on in Planned Parenthood clinics. It is disgusting. It is an abomination. It wasn't health care when it was abortion, and it's definitely not health care when it's criminal violations of health care laws. The time has come, and what we know is that we've tried this before. 2017, we almost in Medicaid defunded Planned Parenthood in Medicaid through the reconciliation bill, which basically is easier because you only have to have a majority in the Senate. We lost by one vote, not due to abortion, but other issues. So we have that shot again in the exact equivalent situation. We've got the House, we've got the Senate, we've got the presidency, we have the will of this Speaker of the House, we have the will of Senator Thune. We are beginning to see the attacks from the other side, and they will come forcefully in the coming weeks. So be prepared, but pay attention, watch and see what's happening in this debate. Our time has come to do this after decades and decades of funding this evil force in the middle of the culture, and we'll do it now. If you look around and you read a little bit more about the closing of Planned Parenthoods all over the country when they've been losing state funding, imagine what will happen when $500 million is taken away from them, even for just 1 year. It's a business model that can't be sustained. And it shouldn't be. Also, we have got to defend our A-team, our leaders in the House and the Senate. Susan B. Anthony is already gearing up. Believe it or not, 3 months into this administration, we're getting ready for midterms, and that's how it has to be done. There's no other way. This is retail politics on the ground, door to door. We have to begin early. So watch for that news. It'll come in your email or your mail, and please support it generously. Anyone who is up now that we're targeting we would only be involved in those races because those margins are very slim. Also, we saw a horrendous ballot initiative succeed at a moment right after Dobbs. There are a couple of states, a handful, that it makes absolutely no sense that they would have unlimited abortion or late-term abortion. Look at Missouri and Ohio and think we're going to need to go back to those states with strong gubernatorial commitment to the project and make sure that they have the arms and legs, the team on the ground, everything that they need to support strong governors who are willing to go back and amend those constitutions again. And I think we're making some good progress in that direction. So watch for that as well. We have the advantage when it comes to changing hearts and minds. The abortion lobby offers a new, ghastly, lonely, back alley abortion regime, which is taking place in bathrooms all over the nation. where the male is the abortionist and her bathroom is her abortion clinic. She lives in that misery, living in the place where her child died for as long as she lives in that place, alone. This is not women's rights. This is not women's health care. This movement has taken seriously our responsibility to embrace women and children together and serve them. The fruits of it are strong and loving and inspiring. That is the service to women, and our civic responsibility has always led us to fight for equal dignity and protection under the law for children waiting to be born. Moving ahead, we will fight wherever we must, including elections, to do that again. The same right to equal dignity embedded in our founding documents, the same equal dignity that Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, anti-child labor advocates, and Martin Luther King fought for, the same equal dignity, and yet even more fundamental. Your dignity is not earned. Nature and experience scream this, but your faith, the faith in your inmost soul, whispers and sustains you in this knowledge. He knit you together in your mother's womb. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And he even knew you before he formed you there from all eternity. He tells this to us, and we believe him. So no, I'm not worried. We have everything we need, everything we could possibly need. Let's remember that. Hold tight to how we got here. Look up and forcefully move in the future together and win again. I know we can, and I definitely know we can with the man I'm introducing now. Speaker Mike Johnson maybe doesn't need an introduction, but there's probably some stuff you don't know about him. When I used to go to coalition meetings, sometimes endless coalition meetings, I would always kind of sit at the end of the table, kind of far away from where the action was. And who was almost always sitting next to me was this great congressman from Louisiana named Mike Johnson. And he would sit there in the coalition meetings. You know, I would try to interject from time to time, but he'd pretty much wait to the end, and he'd be that guy in the room that listened to all of it and then said something brilliant and summarily dismissed the bad ideas, focused on the good ideas, build some consensus and move forward. And everyone just looked over there, who is that guy? No, they knew who he was. If it's true that when we put ourselves first, we'll be last, if it's true that personal aggrandizement ends up to be our demise, and the opposite is true, humility like that of this speaker is the mark of his service as speaker. His humility comes through in every setting that he has ever been in. He might be very proud of that humility. I'm sure that I am. Because he's the most humble of all people, and he knows it. He's done a lot of stuff. You know, he's done a lot of things. He comes from humble beginnings, and you know we try to keep him humble, so that really helps a lot. He's fought all his life for the unborn. It has never left his heart. He was a great litigator for ADF. He was a state legislator, a congressman, now Speaker of the House. He rose fast, and in fact, he was the fastest rise to the top to the speakerhood of any speaker since John G. Carlisle, who I don't know, but I bet Carlisle Gregory knows him, if in 1883. Carlisle knows everything. He's just a great guy, and you want to hear from him. He'll tell you more about himself, I bet, but here he is, Speaker Mike Johnson.